welcome back to another episode of Madmen Sports. As always, I'm Zach.
I'm Jake.
And I am Dave.
How's everyone doing today?
Oh, pretty good. Weekend's coming to a close, ready for Monday.
Had a great Mother's Day,
Love my mom.
Fantastic. We're on to the last week of Game of Thrones finally. We have a lot on our
Depressing
plate.
stuff.
Yeah, I can't relate, so.
Yeah, a lot on our plate, really. And, any big news for the Bills this week? We had Derek Anderson retire. He was the QB3 on the team, so it's not crushing news, but it is news, you know what I'm
His
saying?
concussion just ended.
I think it's still going on.
Decided he's done.
Poor guy finally came to and was like, wait, I'm still on a contract? I gotta get out of here.
Look out for Tyree Jackson making a spot on this team.
He'll get a lot of playing time in the preseason now, I bet.
Absolutely. I think it's really interesting because now not only were fans excited because there's a local guy, the UB connection, now they can really build and see if the Bills decide to kind of keep on a third quarterback, which is something they didn't really try to do last year. They tried to roll with two. Mm-hmm. Even in the preseason when they only had Nate Peterman and Allen, they kicked McCarron to the curb. Mm-hmm. And then they rode with, Anderson and Peterman, Allen and Barkley. Got rid of Peterman. Finally, they seem to be stuck in their ways with two quarterbacks. It'd be interesting to see if they like Jackson enough to keep him on and let him grow and watch his maturation process kind of develop into a starting caliber wide quarterback. Now, they have a quarterback, so you want him to be the QB2 once it's time for Matt Barkley to move on. Mm-hmm. And you look in the mirror, they're the same person.
And Barkley's not going anywhere this year. He's definitely locked in as the number 2 right now.
Yeah, which he did play good last season when he was in. So
yeah, he had that great game against the Jets where they really, poured it on. They had Dean Dawkins catching a touchdown. There was plenty of There was plenty of ball going around. So that was a really fun time to see Matt Barkley really see that offense through and kind of work them into a very successful win in a time where it wasn't really a good time for the Bills quarterbacks with Nathan Peterman throwing a bunch of problems away to the Chicago Bears, which made that game unwatchable.
Yeah, that was bad.
We should ban the word Nathan Peterman from this podcast.
Maybe. We can develop something that one time, every time we say Nathan Peterman, we might take a drink of something.
Oh.
We'll have to see how that goes.
Whoa.
We might have to make
getting ahead of ourselves
We might have to make a game out of something.
I'll have to say that word a lot then.
Maybe. So, anyways, let's dive into our, our Rolodex here of what we got to do. We came up with the idea of this week with being all nostalgic about Derek Anderson, his I Will Remember You week that he had here for the Bills. He had that Monday night game. Everyone was excited about that. Got me thinking.
He won't remember anything.
No, that poor guy, honestly. So we had the Monday night game, which everyone was really excited about. It could have been a game to remember. What was your favorite game that was played at New Era Stadium, Jake?
So all time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really unbox your thoughts
that you've attended.
So
you had to be there.
Oh, of course. So my favorite game of all time that I've witnessed personally was my first game I've ever witnessed. Mind you, it was at Ralph Wilson Stadium. It was
R.I.P.
It was R.I.P.
to the stadium, not the person.
But it was December 23rd, 2007. My grandfather took his oldest grandson and his youngest grandson to a football game. Unheard of, right? So I can just remember the first time I walked out of the tunnel into my seats, my jaw just dropped. Never seen anything of that magnitude. I mean, I was like 12 years old, maybe. It was a sight to see. Mind you, the Bills lost 38-21, but
Who'd they play?
The New York Giants, excuse me.
They played the Giants?
Yeah. I believe it was the year they won the Super Bowl.
The Bills? I was never there.
Not the Bills.
You mean
Jeez,
the Giants.
Come on.
The year the Giants won the Super Bowl, okay.
Yeah. So I guess it was cool to see a Super Bowl winning team.
What did you say, 2007 or
2007?
Oh, okay. That was a good year. That's when they knocked off the undefeated Patriots.
Exactly.
That was awesome.
So it was cool to see.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all right. I mean, it was a good game. Cool experience with my grandfather.
Ahmad Bradshaw had a great game. I remember that. That was like his coming out game. Number 44 tore up the field.
So did Hakeem Nicks. Remember that?
Yeah, that game was very memorable. I believe it snowed. Was that true?
It was
in September.
No, it was a mix of rain and snow.
That's the game that me and my friends decided we're done with season tickets because it was like freezing rain.
See,
Ahmad Bradshaw did have a big game. He had like 3 touchdowns.
It was an ending of an era and the beginning of a new one.
See, I wasn't even at that game. I remember it was on Fox.
Walking back to the car was miserable.
It was right near Christmas time.
When none of us talked to any of us.
Yeah.
Was it in December?
Yeah, December 23rd.
Oh, yeah.
Dick Duran.
I remember that game vividly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remember most Bills games vividly. I've got a crazy memory.
Dick
when it comes to that
Durand.
stuff.
Yeah, Ahmad Bradshaw had an 88-yard rushing touchdown.
Oh, see, I knew. I believe, now, this is just the way my memory works. I believe his sticker came off his helmet in that game. I just remember, I love the Bills so much that I constantly think about, like,
So did the feeling in my toes. Those left too.
Oh, yeah.
We were losing stickers, we were losing toes. Just another run-in-the-mill December game at Ralph Wilson Stadium, you know?
Well, that's quite the segue because it's funny. You're about to ask me my favorite game. Mine's also in 2007.
Oh.
It was
Big year for the Bills.
Yeah.
I believe they went 7-9.
Yes,
they were
did.
1-4 at this point, and they were playing a 5-0 Dallas Cowboys team on Monday Night Football. It was the atmosphere of that game will not match anything. Bills lost that game 24-25.
Close one.
Defense had 2 touchdowns and 5 picks. That was exciting, but they just couldn't pull it out at the end. T.O., who was one of the highest receivers in the league, didn't do anything. Dropped the ball in the end zone. Tony Romo ended up beating us. We missed a field goal. I forgot who was the kicker for us at the time. Ryan Lindell missed a field goal.
Who else would have been that year? Now, how I remember that game is, I believe, for some reason, our third-string running back, Dwayne Wright, fumbled the ball out of bounds forward.
Yeah.
And they called it a turnover because he fumbled it forward. I believe that it was the exact game, and I remember just being so... That's just the way my memory works. I don't know why.
You just remember all the horrible things that happened to the Buffalo Bills?
I am tainted. I remember Bryce Brown fumbling into Scott Chandler.
And
I've seen some bad plays.
George Wilson got a touchdown. Terrence McGee got a long touchdown kick return. It's a shame that we're picking 2 losing games, but the atmosphere of this Monday Night Football game will not be matched by anything.
Did I just really bring up Dwayne Wright on this podcast?
I don't even know. I'll be honest. I have no clue who
I
he
believe
is.
he wore 31.
We should reach out to him and interview him.
I believe he wore
is
number
he still
31.
around?
Only did he wear number 31. I think he also had one career fumble, and it's the one I remember. The poor guy. Like,
You just have the worst Bills memories.
I have some good ones, I promise. Like this one right here in week 3 in 2011. Now, everyone remembers this game because it was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, Drayton Florence.
I still have that.
Airplaning into the end zone with the crowd going wild and the 100 section behind the end zone. So, it was week 3. They just had a comeback against the Raiders. You remember that one?
Oh, sure do.
You know, they had Darius Hayward-Bay and all these other crazy receivers, but yet the Bills kept up in speed. They had that crazy comeback. This is another comeback because in the second quarter, they were down 21 points. They fought all the way back to go 24-24, and then with like 10 minutes left in the game, Drayton Florence gets that awesome interception and carries it in the end zone. It's like the cover of Sports Illustrated for the next week, and Bills fans get stuck in their mind. They finally beat Brady. They broke the 15-game losing streak against him. So their last win before that was in 2003.
Isn't that the game that Fred Jackson ran after the game with the flag?
Yes, that was. And Fred Jackson actually had 72 yards in that game and 1 touchdown. And that's not even the end of the crazy stats for that game. Stevie Johnson had 8 catches, 94 yards, and 1 touchdown. He smoked. He smoked that defense. But talking about smoking defense, I'm a Bills fan through and through. But what the Patriots did that day was nothing short of impressive. Not only did Tom Brady throw 4 interceptions to the Bills defense, their guy at the time, what Edelman is now, Wes Welker, had 16 catches, which was a franchise record at the time. And not only did he have 16 catches, he had 217 yards, which is still a franchise record.
Jeez.
And then he tacked on 2 touchdowns for it. I mean, that game was impressive all the way through. The offense, it was 34-31 at the end of the game. The downside of that game, in my memory, it's my favorite game I've ever been to. But the downside of that game was 3 weeks later, the Bills dished out a 6-year, $59 million contract to Ryan Fitzpatrick. So
How'd that work out for him?
we recently paid off the loan. So
Beating the Patriots can do wonders.
exactly, pretty much if you beat the Patriots around here, which Jarek Anderson tried, he really did.
So he threw a pick 6, didn't he?
You're a god around here. So yeah, that was pretty
Who
bad.
knows? Frank Gore scores a touchdown against
If I'm not
Patriots this year.
wrong,
Look at a 5-year deal.
The pick 6 for him was what really,
like
I'm pretty sure that was the concussion play right there.
It was like an 80-yard pick 6, wasn't it? It was something ridiculous, right?
It feels like it was 50 yards.
Still, that's
Yeah.
embarrassing.
And even 50 yards, I think I meant 50 miles. Like, I felt like he was running forever. Slow motion, like it was like a 9-3 game. Like, it was right into it. They're driving. They're on the other half of the 50. And then he just throws it to him, and I'm just like, oh, slow motion. Like, we had that nice halftime with Thurman Thomas and everything. Everyone did the lights. And then it was just like, oh,
we gotta go back out and play again.
That wasn't good. So to segue into the Thurman Thomas, he was getting put on the Wall of Fame. They were retiring his number there. That has me thinking, guys, who's the next person for the Bills to go on the Wall of Fame? Dave, what do you think about that? Who's the next Wall of Famer?
I was thinking about this earlier, and I'm older than you guys, obviously. I'm the old guy in this group.
Not by much. Come on, don't show your age.
And I have
Mr. Naps.
I go pretty way back for players here. I don't go last 10 years like most recent Bills fans do. I always think the piece of the defense in the 90s, early 90s, that's not in there yet, Cornelius Bennett.
Biscuit.
Yes, is number 97 is the most deserved that's not on the Wall of Fame to be in the Wall of Fame. And I think he's always around for players going up, community stuff still. Even though he went to Atlanta, it wasn't very favorable the way he did it. Ruff Wilson was not happy about it. Biscuit deserves to be up there. I would like to see him up here this year. Don't think it'll happen.
Give me Biscuit.
Well, why do you think he hasn't been on the Wall of Fame yet?
I don't know. I think the way he left, and I'm not really familiar with the way he left, but I know that it ticked a lot of people off, and he went to Atlanta and actually played in the Super Bowl the same year, lost, but played in it. And I don't know, he just didn't leave very favorable.
Hey, I mean, whenever you lose a key player in the defense, you kind of get mad at him. I mean, we hated Marcel Darius even though we were happy he was gone. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just the way it works.
I love this question because I think of like 10 people that should be on the wall, but
I need a bigger stadium is what I'm saying.
We're running out of people. Yeah.
Got to throw in downtown soon, huh?
Just gotta get some flags soon.
Got to find some place for it.
Please.
So, Jake, who do you got for the Wall of Fame next?
All right.
Who's next at bat?
It's not going to be a player of that generation. It's going to be one in our hearts still. I'm going with number 95, Kyle Williams.
Number 95 in your playbook. Number one in your heart.
Gosh. Kyle Williams has done so much for this city over the past 10-odd years. I couldn't think of a better player to be enshrined in the Buffalo Bills Wall of Fame. Let me tell you why, guys.
Why?
I mean, he was our vocal point of our team for 10 years. I mean, no other player has stuck around that long. Eric Wood, getting there. Kyle Williams, through and through, has been the heart of this Buffalo Bills team.
13 faithful seasons to the Buffalo Bills.
13 wonderful seasons.
I would question that only because do you think Fred Jackson deserves it more than him?
No, and I'll tell you why. Fred Jackson, great player, great human being, great citizen
for the city, right?
of the city of Buffalo. But he wasn't down in the trenches like Kyle Williams was. He gave his heart out.
You're right, he was blowing up the trenches, plowing right through them.
He has murdered Tom Brady on numerous occasions.
Well,
and just those plays deserve his name.
I think
on the wall.
you're 100% correct, but I think it's way too early. I
Way
think
too
I think
early?
there's more people more deserving.
Listen, I understand the idea that it being too early, but I could see the Bills trying to parlay this into some, buzz because he's still, so fresh to the culture and like he was the reason building blocks of where they could be now. I mean, we don't really know. We gotta wait 3 more months to see where they could be at. But for what they are, breaking that playoff drought finally. I mean, not that he was part of the problem. He's a defensive tackle, but that's not for me to say. Exactly. Like he's such an integral part of this team that it would be important for maybe the team now to see him get enshrined, and it would be really nice for them to try to get a win. I could see your idea of why they would want him to execute that early.
With him gone, that defense is definitely lacking leadership. So it would be a nice memorial to Kyle Williams, and every time a defensive player looks up and sees his name in the stadium, it'll just be a reminder. Be better.
Yeah.
And I do think Kyle Williams will be sticking around this year. He'll be at home games. He'll be the poster boy.
He'll be around.
Probably run that darn flag down when they come down leading the charge a couple times.
If he can still run, it's up to him.
Oh.
I have a Wall of Famer that just doesn't get enough respect in this city.
Who?
Eric Moulds. Probably my favorite player when I was young. I'm still young. I mean, I'm not here to throw stones at Dave or anything, but I'm definitely young still, and I think Eric Moulds, number 80, is more than deserving for the Wall of Fame, and it's a shame he's waited this long, honestly. Not that anyone that's been up there already isn't deserving. I think the Bills have some, years to catch up on here, but Eric Moulds had 675 career catches with the Bills. That's a lot. That's enough for second of all time on the Bills.
Really?
Only behind Andre Reed.
He's always been very comparable to Andre Reed growing up.
You want to hear another crazy stat?
Please.
How about 9,096 yards? That's also second all-time on the Bills' receiving list. That's how good Eric Moulds is. And then here, let me just wrap up the stats here for you. 48 touchdowns. Because that's second all-time for the Bills ever. So how about this? How about we put the second all-time receiver to ever wear a Buffalo Bills uniform on the Wall of Fame.
I no disrespect to Mr. Williams here. I might have to change my pick. You easily convinced me. For some odd reason, I had no clue that he was so successful during the Buffalo Bills
He was a
era.
stud.
No, Eric Moulds, my choice. Zach, you are great at convincing people.
Thanks. I am quite the Jedi.
Please.
Speaking of which, the craziest part about Eric Moulds was during his time here, he didn't have the greatest quarterbacks ever. He wasn't here with Jim Kelly or anything like Andre Reed was. But he was first and second for a lot of receiving categories back when he played. It was pretty impressive. Like, going back through the stats, like, now, I mean, I was there to watch it, but now when I, like, go back through the stats, like, he was number 2 to Marvin Harrison, you know. He was just in the thick of things in a time where wide receivers were becoming greats, like Marvin Harrison, Terrell Owens, and such.
He was Julio Jones. He's what Julio Jones is now, 15 years ago.
Absolutely.
With a dog crap quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he ran the gambit of quarterbacks, and he really deserved a much better quarterback, and this is something the Bills have always kind of lacked since Jim Kelly, and even before Jim Kelly. I mean, we're always trying to compare the quarterback to Jim Kelly. But I think from now on, we should try to get a wide receiver like Eric Moulds because he was such a stud. Face of the franchise, you know. So you want to have a player like him in your locker room. You want a player like him on your roster. So I think we should try to break the mold and try to get a wide receiver like Eric Moulds.
Oh.
Speaking of wide receivers, we're going to segue into this new segment that we'd like to do. Us at Madmen Sports really want to inform our listeners to be the best Bills fans they can be. So we want to introduce a new segment called Meet the Coaching Staff, where we pick a random coach each week from the Buffalo Bills, of course, not that random, and try to introduce you to them and kind of show off so you can kind of regurgitate it to your friends and family.
Just a nice flex to have.
Exactly, like, oh man, Zay Jones had a nice catch this week. Him and Chad Hall must be really working together.
Whoa, who's Chad Hall?
Well, Chad Hall is our coach of the week. And he is currently the wide receivers coach for the Buffalo Bills. This is his second year on the staff. Last year he was an offensive assistant. And when he played, he was a former player. So you know you're getting some good quality. He's giving some tips to the players. Now, Chad Hall was the Mountain West Player of the Year in 2007. You guys know anyone else who came out of the Mountain West recently?
You couldn't tell you.
Oh, how about Josh Allen?
What?
I was about to say it.
Oh, see, you gotta be quicker than that. It's like that State Farm commercial. Oh, I gotta be quicker than that. So, yeah, Chad Hall was the Mountain West Player of the Year in 2007. He did play in the NFL, however. He played for 3 teams, the Philadelphia Eagles, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Kansas City Chiefs. His career wasn't really that successful. I mean, he played in the NFL, which is way more than I've ever done, or ever will do. He had 15 catches for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. So hopefully the worst wide receiver on the team gets that.
Yeah, he made the most out of those
receptions,
receptions, though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's got a touchdown for every 7.5 catches he makes. That's quick math.
Quick math.
Yeah. So I mean, welcome Chad Hall to your arms and your knowledge now, because now the Madmen Sports listeners know a thing or two about Chad Hall. Jake, do you know any outside information about Chad Hall? I know you got some family in Detroit. There may be a connection there.
Actually, this is pretty wild. His sister is married to Detroit Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford.
Wow. Now there's all the facts that you could possibly have on a wide receivers coach for the Buffalo Bills.
So next time you're talking with your friends, you just want to flex some knowledge. You know, Chad Hall, our wide receivers coach.
He's been working really well with Robert Foster. Jones is having a great year this year. He must be doing a lot of individual sessions with our guy, Chad Hall. Oh, who's Chad Hall? Oh, he's our wide receivers coach. Oh, no big deal. Did you know he played in the NFL?
Oh,
those are just great talking points for fellow Bills fans, so then we can spread the knowledge. It's all out there on the internet, but you got to hear it.
We're willing to do the work and look it up for you guys.
Yeah, we want you to retain the information so you can just throw it around willy-nilly, casually into a conversation. That's all we have today and this week, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed your Mother's Day podcast by us. This is the mid of May here, guys, right? It's not the Ides. It's not the Ides of March anymore. It's the Ides of May.
Ooh.
So we're really trucking through here. We had rookie mining camp start this weekend. We're getting closer to the season. We're gonna make it, guys. Don't worry. Please, if you enjoy our content, like and subscribe on YouTube. You guys have, so I'm really appreciative of that. You can't let that go underappreciated. You guys have done great to us, and you guys have been great. Thank you so much for listening to us. It's a great thing. Obviously, if you listen to us on YouTube, feel free to expand your horizons. We're on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Player FM. Anywhere you can listen to a podcast. I don't even know where we are, honestly. Like, I try to tell people, like, hey, we're in these 4 specific spots, but I have other people come up to me and like, hey, I was listening to you guys on Blast FM. Like, where? Who? Blast? Yeah.
Type in Madmen, you'll find us.
Yeah, Madmen
Madmen
Sports.
Sports.
You can find anywhere. Yeah, if you type in Madmen, you're going to find an AMC TV show.
Don Draper will show up.
Yeah.
You leave
Hopefully
him
one day
alone.
we'll get John Hamm on this show because we're big fans. But anyways, yeah, like and subscribe, please, and see you guys next week.
Bye.